Today is November 13th, 2022. I'm Jason Shapiro with crowdedmarketreport.com. So in today's video, I thought I would touch on really some things I've touched on before, but maybe look at them from a little bit of a different angle. And the main theme being, I guess, patience, is so important in this game. I don't care what process you use to trade. I don't care if you're flipping a coin and trying for 50-50, or if you look at 30 different indicators and they all have to line up at the same time in order to put on a trade, so you're extremely picky. Nothing works all the time. It's just a fact. And you need to accept that so that you can be patient. And the game is, obviously, when it's not working, to limit your losses, and when it is working, to try and maximize the gains during that time. So, and that's pretty obvious, okay? But the key to that is being patient and believing your process over time. So I can't speak to everybody's process. I can't really speak to anybody's process other than mine. So I can kind of take you through how I try to do these things with my process. And it comes up because of what's happened recently in my trading. So the last few months, let's call it October, really, late September and through October, I used COT data a lot. The COT data was not really giving us great information, or the markets at least weren't really following the information that the COT was giving us. So like I had a negative October. So, but the good thing was I wasn't really getting a lot of signals. So I didn't have a lot of trades on. And really, I essentially had one trade on, which was this long gold trade, okay? And you can see in October it tried to go up, and then, this is actually where October started. So it was up here. I got long somewhere in here, right? Like see on this day right here. It came down against me, and October was negative, right? And then look what's happened recently. Okay, it's popped up. I never got stopped out, so I was still in the trade, and now it's working, and that's wonderful. But I would say non-coincidentally, during this period, there weren't really a lot of signals I was getting. So I'm sitting on this, and that's it, and then hoping for the best, and realizing that, hey, if I do get stopped out, whatever, I'll hopefully get in lower, or I'll get in again, and before it goes. But I would say non-coincidentally, all of a sudden, I started to get a lot more signals, right? So like the NASDAQ, right? We're getting long signals down here all of a sudden, right? And 2-year notes, right? You see how short they are here and how long the commercials are here. So suddenly we're getting a buy signal there. So now, not only am I long gold, I'm getting signals long NASDAQ. I'm getting signals long 2 years. I'm getting signals to get long cotton, which arguably is also a similar risk on trade, right? Getting signals to get long cotton around here, right? So suddenly I have a bunch of similar signals across markets, which in my view and in my history and in my experience of this means that the odds of these things working is better. It's a lot better to get a long signal in the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell than just like the NASDAQ, right? It makes it stronger. So, but in my view, with my stuff, it takes care of itself, because if I'm not getting signals in these other things, well, then I don't have the trade on. I'm being patient. I'm not being greedy. I'm not pushing the envelope. I'm waiting, right? Okay, so I'm waiting with this long gold. Maybe it'll work by itself, maybe it won't. But once the other things come on board, I'm not saying, oh, well, now the other things are on board, so I'm really going to get long gold. I'm already long gold, okay? But now I can put on these other things. Now I have more of sort of a similar trade on. These are all kind of risk-on trades given the environment that we're in right now. So it automatically adjusts. It automatically gets me longer when there's more signals. Therefore, when the stuff rebounds like it did recently, I can get a really good return out of it. While when it wasn't working in October, I only had one trade on. I'm really not losing very much. And that's all based on this idea of patience, which goes back to believing in the system and being disciplined to the system. I've talked about it many times: patience, discipline, all that. And this is just sort of an example of how that can work for you to reduce losses in bad times, which are inevitable. Nothing works all the time. And to maximize losses in good times, which hopefully come more often than we want. So I think it's an important lesson. I think it's an important thing to think about. And I'm glad to see that for me, it's come to fruition in the last couple of months through this cycle. And I hopefully will continue to have that come to fruition over various cycles. All right, so that's really what I wanted to speak about today. If there's any questions or comments, as always, happy to hear them. Please join us on our YouTube channel. Please join us if you like the stuff at crowdedmarketreport.com. All right, thank you, and have a good week.